sports.
We are Buffalo. We are Wisconsin.
Sunday afternoon, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They are filing in and a big crowd expected for the finale of the Twins and the Brewers. Home runs have defined this series. Friday, the Brewers with 3 long balls, a 10-4 win. They win the first game of this set. Yesterday, it was Torrey Hunter who hit 2 of the 3 Minnesota home runs. And the Twins evening up the series with a 5-2 win Saturday afternoon. Now we're set for the rubber game. We welcome you from Miller Park. Great to have you with us today. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Our reporter is Sophia Minard. All right, if you're a fantasy league player and you're one of those game day league players, I think Ryan Braun might be your guy today, and that is because he is coming off an off day yesterday. Even though he had a pinch hit RBI, he's a guy that plays very well when he is out of the starting lineup the following day.
Yeah, he started 20 straight games for the Brewers and got yesterday off. He was 1 for 1 with an RBI in yesterday's ball game. But when you take a look at this season, in the 8 games that Ryan has played after an off day, he's 10 for 22, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. So if you indeed are a fantasy camp guy or a fantasy baseball guy, you got to get Ryan Braun in your lineup today. He's been very good on his homestand. He's in the top 10 in the National League for this season in home runs and RBIs. Having a good season so far.
Well, he got off to a very slow start, but look at his numbers since April 28th. He is among the big hitters in the game, kind of back where he belongs. He has 43 runs batted in during that stretch since April 28th until today. And he's coming off a day off yesterday. So let's see if he and the Brewers can help the crew to a series and homestand victory. Tommy Malone, the left-hander on the mound for the Twins. Craig and Augie will break him down right after this.
Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Great day for baseball here at Miller Park. The right-hander Mike Fiers goes up against the left-hander Tommy Milone of the Twins today. It should be a fun finale to this interleague matchup between the Brewers and the Twins. Craig and Augie back on board with you, and the Brewer hitters have a challenge here against the left-hander Milone. They tried to get that offense cranked up like they did on Friday, but didn't work out yesterday. What about today against Milone?
Well, one thing when you face Tommy Milone, he's a sinker-slider style pitcher, not overpowering, but he commands the strike zone. And what he likes to do, he likes to pitch outside the strike zone. He'll show you the strike early in the count, then try to pitch the corners, hit outside the corners. What you have to do, you have to be patient. You get a pitch to hit, you got to drive it the other way. You got to make him bring the ball up in the zone. He's a guy who's a strike thrower, doesn't walk a lot of guys. Be patient at the plate.
All right, he's only given up 7 earned runs over those last 4 starts, so now it's up to Mike Fiers. He fared decently against the Twins. Now he wants to get a win in today's game.
Well, there are 2 members of the Hall of Fame with the Brewers cap, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. And today it is Paul Molitor bobblehead day. His number 4 hangs in the rafters. He is the manager of the Minnesota Twins. That is a rare occasion, and he's got his Twins right there in contention in the American League Central Division. He is in the wild card spot right now. And this Brewers broadcast today on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. 72 degrees. It's a great day for baseball on a beautiful Sunday here at Miller Park. Great to have you with us. Mike Fiers getting his final preparations in. The coaches exchange the lineup cards, all the pieces in place, and let's give you the Paul Molitor starting lineup for the Minnesota Twins here this afternoon. It is brought to you by Potawatomi. Brian Dozier leads off, then Eddie Rosario. Joe Mauer hits third. Middle of the order is Trevor Plouffe, Torrey Hunter, and Kurt Suzuki. And down at the bottom, Escobar, Malone, and Danny Santana. There is Mike Fiers, Rock. And He pitched so-so against the Twins his last time out, but had a lot of pitches in just 4+ innings. He's hoping to streamline that here today.
Yeah, tough luck loser in Minnesota to the Twins back on June 7th. A 2-0 loss. Making career start number 3 against Minnesota. He's 1-1. He also worked out of relief against the Twins. Pretty good his last time out against the Mets. A no decision in a Brewers 3-2 victory. Now let's check out the Brewers as they line up defensively. Brought to you by Menards today. Got Shane Peterson getting a start in left field. A rare day off for Gerardo Parra, so he does not start today. You got Hernan Perez filling in for Scooter Gennett with a left-hander Tommy Malone on the mound. There's your Menards Brewers defense.
All right, we're ready to play ball. Hernan Perez has been swinging the bat well lately. Gets another chance here today. And we got a great crowd on hand on a Sunday afternoon. Dozier digs in, and Mike Fiers ready to go. First pitch of the ball game. And it's swung on. Little half swing to Ramirez. One pitch, one out. Good way to start the day for Mike Fiers.
Well, Fiers his last time out against the Mets really found the changeup. That was one of his better pitches in that start against New York. Went 6 innings, give up only 2 runs. Still trying to get that consistency with the curveball, but the fastball changeup very good his last time out.
Fiers' last victory coming against the Washington Nationals. That was here at Miller Park. Here is Eddie Rosario, center fielder for the Twins here today. Shane Robinson started in center field, the opener, and it's been Rosario the last 2, and he has a base hit with 1 away. That snaps an 0 for 11 for Eddie Rosario. Brewers have a chance to win the season series against the Twins with a victory here today. They took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota in Minnesota earlier in the month. They won the first game on Friday night, scoring 10 runs. They have twice scored double-digit runs against the Twins in their 4 wins this year.
And in each of those 2 games where they were able to put those big run totals up, they did it early in the game. Now first 3 innings both times.
Should say there are 3 wins this year. I beg your pardon. Brewers have won 3. The Twins have won 2, including a victory last night. Torrey Hunter with 2 home runs yesterday. 1 out for Joe Mauer. Mauer comes in batting .260.
And only 4 home runs, 37 RBIs. Most of his hits have come to left field against the Brewers in this series.
Now the Brewers looking to turn a double play. Fiers typically a fly ball pitcher. It's not exactly a perfect fit for Miller Park, but he does make it work. And when Fiers has his good command, he can be as tough as anyone. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, but he is a very unique pitcher in the way he delivers, and he can rack up a ton of strikeouts. Runner goes, and Lucroy got a good release, and he is out at second base.
All right, he's been dynamite behind home plate. Boy, throwing the baseball as well right now as he has throughout his career. Mazara had a decent jump. That throw right on the money by Lucroy. Check it out. Not a big lead, but a decent jump. And look at his throw. Right on the money and an easy tag for Segura.
Segura kept that tag right on him. Didn't sweep that tag. And Lucroy has now thrown out 9 of his last 17 attempted base stealers. 2 outs for Mauer. And there is ball 3 from Fiers.
Yeah, over 50% for Lucroy. And when you get around 33%, you're considered pretty good.
Lucroy cut down 2 yesterday.
Testing a lot is Lucroy. You know, day game after a night game yesterday and back in there today.
3 balls and a strike, and Mauer to the opposite field, hit well. Back is Peterson with room. He's got it, and the inning is over. And a good start for Mike Fiers. Got a caught stealing from Lucroy. Now the Brewers are coming up. Made it a 3-batter inning for Fiers, and Craig Counsell's Brewers trying to win a series here before they hit the road to Philadelphia tonight. 4-game series with the Phillies beginning tomorrow. It'll be Philadelphia and Cincinnati on the next road trip. Counsell's lineup tonight, or today, brought to you by Potawatomi. He's got Gene Segura back in the leadoff spot, Lucroy to follow, then Braun, Gomez, Lind, and Ramirez in the middle, with Hernan Perez, Shane Peterson, and Mike Fiers rounding it out. And that's the batting order that will face left-hander Tommy Milone, former Oakland Athletic. Briefly had time with the Nationals, his second season with the Minnesota Twins.
And he's putting together a pretty good season. He started the year with the Twins, then got sent down when Ricky Nolasco was activated. Nolasco went on the disabled list, and he's back.
Gene Segura into center field. Back is Rosario, still going back. He's got it just in front of the wall. Segura gave it a ride. Wrong part of the ballpark, and one away for Milone.
Now let's check out the Menards Twins defense. The Twins lead the American League in turning double plays. They have 75 this year. One change from yesterday. Kurt Suzuki back behind home plate. He started Friday. The Twins Menards defense today.
Here's Jonathan Lucroy with one away. Just underway here at Miller Park. Certainly invite you to come join us. Still plenty of time. Some good seats available. Nice big crowd on a Sunday, though. And another one of those day game for the Brewers / Summerfest evenings in Milwaukee. It's such a great time to be here this time of year. Had a day game yesterday as well. Summerfest is going strong. Great outdoor music festival, one of the best in the world.
Downtown was buzzing last night. I was down there.
Yeah, another great lineup of music today at Summerfest. And our buddy John Bowler, we send him our best. All his staff out at Summerfest, they're doing a great job. Weather's been terrific. This is one of the ideal windows to come to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's middle June through early September. 1-2 the count. Lucroy chases one, a strikeout, and Suzuki has to secure it at first. 2 up, 2 down for Tommy Milone to start his day.
Yeah, Tommy Milone, not a big strikeout guy. He doesn't throw very hard. He'll get it up to maybe 90 miles an hour, but not too often. Good change up and a curveball. There's a curveball right there down in the dirt with 2 strikes, and Lucroy chases it. He's been throwing well, having a good month of June since his call up. 2-0 in 4 starts and a .252 earned run average in the month of June. 4-1 overall.
He spent some time in the minor leagues. It's been an up and down season for him as far as that goes, as he faces Ryan Braun with 2 away. Now Braun away from the starting lineup yesterday, but he did play in yesterday's game, and he had a pinch hit RBI single that brought the Brewers within 2 yesterday. They would go on to lose the game 5-2. And as Rock mentioned in our open today, Braun has typically been very good on the days following his days off, or at least days out of the starting lineup. That has happened on 8 occasions prior to today, where it's either been a scheduled team off day or Braun has just had an off day, a maintenance day. And in those 8 games, he has 10 hits, 3 homers, and 6 runs batted in. He's 10 for 22 at the plate.
Yep, and before not starting yesterday, had 20 straight games and draws a walk. Tommy Malone wanted no part of him.
So a 2-out walk for Braun, and that'll bring up Carlos Gomez, the former Twin who always enjoys matching up against his old team. Gomez dealt with a hip injury, started in the groin area and then radiating to the hip, knocked him out for 4 games. But since he's come back, he's swung the bat well. He is certainly contributing offensively and defensively, as always. And when you see a swing like that, it gives you the idea that there's nothing wrong with the hip anymore.
Yeah, right. I mean, that is about as radical a swing as you can get. An off-speed pitch by Malone. Off-speed pitches down and fastballs in on Gomez is what is usually what he gets.
Saw Gomez taking ground balls at shortstop today. That's something he does typically. He's not going to play the position, but in the last group of batting practice, he does it just for fun. He usually has an infielder with him. Today it was Scooter Gennett, and they try to do trick plays and all these various maneuvers out there just to have a little fun. That's not something we've seen him do with the hip injury. But he was out there today, and he was rolling in the grass and making diving stops, and I happened to be standing by the athletic trainer, Dan Wright. I said, I guess Gomez okay. He goes, yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah, he loves it when that happens. Dan Wright loves it when Gomez and the guys that are just back from injury are doing that.
2-2 on Gomez.
Kids these days, right?
Kids today. Now when Gomez is showing that kind of personality, that fun-loving personality, then he's feeling good. He's feeling healthy. We didn't see that when he was injured. He was just grinding, trying to play through that injury, and ultimately had to sit down for 4 days. There goes Braun. The pitch is down and away. Throw to second is late. Braun steals second.
Yeah, Brewers have been running on Suzuki, who ordinarily over his career has been a very solid defensive catcher. But the Brewers have been running on him, and they have run on him successfully in this series. Did not play in yesterday's game. Yeah, a little bit of a high throw. Took him a while to get rid of it, and Braun able to steal the base.
That's number 9 on the year. He's only been caught once. And we love round numbers in baseball. That is career steal 150 for Braun. Slow roller to short. Coming in, Santana. The throw to first in time to get Gomez. And the inning is over. Brewers strand a runner at second. We're off and running at Miller Park. Scoreless.
Hotel and Casino, a scoreless game here at Miller Park in the series finale between the Brewers and the Twins. Craig Counsell talking about Mike Fiers' season, saying he's been just consistently average. They're still looking for him to return to the form that he showed in August and September last year when he was second in the National League in strikeouts and also in the top 10 in earned run average. He said he's just fought high pitch counts. They've been falling off a lot of balls instead of a lot of swings and misses. So looking for Fiers to return to that dominant stretch that he had at the end of last season.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he hasn't been able to command his off-speed pitches, the curveball and the changeup. He's relied a lot on the fastball, and that's why he's been getting a lot of foul balls. He starts getting that pitch over the curveball, that'll change. A curveball changeup that slows the bat down a little bit, and that's when he gets those strikeouts with the high heater.
Fiers had an 8-pitch first inning, facing Trevor Plouffe to start inning number 2. The Twins' heavy-hitting third baseman. 10 homers this year, 40 driven in. He homered on Friday night. Has a couple of hits in the series. Pops this one up a mile high, foul territory. That'll stay playable for Segura, and out number 1. And that's when Fiers is on his game, when you start to see pop-ups like that. Hitters off balance.
On a 2-1 pitch. Got ahead with a fastball, then tried to get a feel for the curveball, missed with 2 of them, and then able to get a little bit in on Plouffe and get him to pop up. You know, when he gets that curveball over, you know, going back to what Sophia was talking about, the pitch counts, when he gets that curveball over, it's a 1-2 count. That's when he might get the swing and a miss on the 2-strike pitch.
Starts Torrey Hunter with a fastball strike. Hunter hit a first pitch curveball for a homer yesterday.
Man, but when hitters know the curveball is not going to be a strike pitch, they're just sitting fastball. They might not square it up, but they're going to get a piece of it.
And another fastball, a little higher this time. Hunter is down 0-2. Torrey Hunter still got it, no doubt about that. 2 home runs yesterday, had a double. This guy can still play at a very high level. He'll be 40 in July, mid-July. Right after the All-Star break, actually. He'll turn 40.
Talked to him before Friday's game. Still having a lot of fun. Twins are winning. Clubhouse has been good, and Torrey Hunter largely responsible for that.
Here's a 1-2. And Hunter into shallow center. Gomez got a late break, but he'll run it down. Carlos covered a lot of ground out there. And the second out of the inning.
Been kind of toying with guys lately, hadn't he? I mean, it looked as though he kind of gave you an indication he wasn't going to be able to get there. Kind of just cruising in, and yeah, no problem.
And then it looked like he and Perez are running the option right there.
Well,
All smiles.
He has a lot of fun playing baseball, doesn't he?
He is a joy to watch every day. No question. I think he's, as Fiers deals a strike to Suzuki, I'd say Gomez, now that he's been around a while, is starting to be understood a little more. But, you know, in his time in Minnesota, and then ultimately prior to that with the Mets, I think he was very misunderstood as a player, and he's got some swag about him, no doubt. Suzuki to right, Braun is there, and Fiers puts up another quick one here in the second inning. 1-2-3 go the Twins. We head to the home second. Game of the homestand. Carlos Gomez and Torrey Hunter having a little fun with each other between innings. Try to give you a little taste of that. That was pretty hilarious. And Martin Maldonado is outfitting Gomez with a chin strap. Remember when he swung and missed in his last at bat, his helmet fell off, and then Gomez says, "Look at me, Torrey, check it out, chin strap." And then Torrey Hunter fell down laughing.
Yeah.
Started rolling around on the ground. That's great. That's awesome. He's falling down for Gomez. That's great.
This swing and a miss.
Got to have a little fun at this game, man. These guys do, certainly. Gomez had the unenviable task of attempting to replace Torrey Hunter.
Yeah.
Hard to replace. But those guys are good buddies.
Might as well have fun, right? It's a great life. And if you're good enough, you get to play in the major leagues. What's better than that? Pretty close to sitting up here watching them every day.
Adam Lind leads off for the Brew Crew. No score here in the bottom of the second inning. Well, Adam Lind has been a platoon player. He's in our T-Mobile Game Changer because of what he's done against left-handed pitching this season. His last 9 at-bats, he has 4 hits. And just 6 in his first 28 at-bats.
And overall, he's .270 against left-handed pitching this year. Nothing wrong with that.
Those are the splits for Adam Lind this year.
Pretty good for a guy that very rarely, if ever, faced lefties last year.
And Lind fouls it away. Count stays at 3-2.
And one of the reasons why he's been so good against lefties, I mean, .270 is a good batting average for a left-handed pitcher. And he keeps that bat in the hitting zone a long time. Even against right-handers, he's looking to go to left field and up the middle. That's the approach that you have to take. Lefty versus lefty.
3-2 on the way. And Lind bounces one over to third. Trevor Plouffe makes the play for the out.
Guys that try and pull the ball all the time are the ones that really struggle against left-handed pitching.
I noticed there the Twins didn't have the full shift on with Lind. He's been hitting the ball to the left side enough where they've adjusted that shift a little bit. Had 2 infielders on the left side, and Plouffe was in perfect position. And that's the man who sets the defense. Gene Glenn, third base coach of the Twins, sitting right there next to Paul Molitor. Aramis Ramirez. Aramis hit a booming home run here Friday night. Brewers scored 10 runs in that game. As a matter of fact, scored 10 runs in the first 2 innings of that game on Friday. Ramirez had a 2-run homer.
6 in the first, 4 in the second. That's all they needed. And Kyle Loesch, the beneficiary of all those runs.
Ramirez into center field. Rosario for the second out. The Brewers won the opener 10-4. Loesch beat May. And then yesterday it was a 5-2 Twins win. Garza took the loss yesterday. Kyle Gibson won his 5th of the year. And Glenn Perkins saved number 24. He is 24 out of 24 this season. You want to stay away from the late relief of the Twins, specifically 8th and 9th. That holds true with every team, but especially the Twins. Perkins doesn't give up much.
And not too often you got to come back against closers. I mean, the 8th inning, 9th inning guys got to do most of your damage early in the game. Get to the starter, get that middle relief. And that is a soft spot in most pitching staffs.
Malone getting ahead of Perez. 0-2. A good changeup there. It's the Minnesota bullpen. 8 pitchers down there in the pen. Brewers carry 7 in their pen. You could have 7 relievers and 5 bench players, position players, or 8 relievers and 4 position players on the bench. Those are delicate decisions as you go through a series.
Well, you can get by in the American League with 4 guys on your bench. You don't have to pinch hit as much. The pitcher doesn't hit, obviously. Kind of rears its head once in a while when you're in interleague play as an American League team.
Twins are 7-7 against the National League. Brewers have an interleague record of 6-9 coming into play. A tour through the American League Central for Milwaukee, Detroit, Kansas City, a home and home. The White Sox, home and home with the Twins. Brewers still have the Indians on the schedule. Got 2 games against Cleveland here in Milwaukee, and then 2 at Cleveland in late August. Those 2 games against the Indians in Milwaukee will be in late July after the All-Star break, July 21st, 22nd. Two-two to Perez. Hanging tough.
That's at Washington, D.C. Washington Nationals Cleveland Indians road trip.
In late August, you're talking about? Got an off day in Cleveland, Ohio. We got to come up with some Cleveland off day fun, partner.
Yeah. How about the Football Hall of Fame?
That's a good call. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It's not that far. No.
Down to Canton.
Oh yeah, you want to go to the Rock and Roll?
We could do them both.
I've been there.
Like double dip.
Been there.
Double dip the Hall of Fames. Kick it down to Canton. Maybe we'll rent a boat with your credit card and get out on Lake Erie.
Lake Erie? That's good. Some fishing.
Perez off the end of the bat, falling fast, and a base hit. Terrific at bat there by Perez. Fouled off a number of pitches, gets to a 3-2 count, and delivers with a single, and that extends his hitting streak to 7 consecutive.
Yeah, he's been locked in. I mean, watch the approach right here. This is a off-speed pitch, a changeup, and Perez, watch him keep that front shoulder closed and driving down and through. Got it off the end of the bat, but Rosario playing deep, able to dump it in front of him for a base hit. The first hit for the Crew.
A little changeup from Tommy Malone that Perez stayed right on.
That's when you know a guy's seeing the baseball pretty well and has a good approach. And you can stay back on that changeup.
Shane Peterson now with Perez at first on the 2-out single. Tigers never saw this version of Perez in Detroit, at least at the major league level. He hit in the minor leagues, but he had a tough time breaking in the lineup. He's really showed well. Brewers claimed him off waivers earlier in the month. There's another guy claimed off waivers this offseason, Shane Peterson. Got him off the Cubs roster. Cubs took him off their major league roster. The Brewers picked him up, figuring he'd be a guy to give him a little depth and play every day at AAA, give him depth at the major league level, and he's turned out to be a very good player.
Yeah, brought him up when Braun had to miss those games with those injections for his thumb, and he started to swing the bat, and they haven't been able to. They want to keep him in the lineup. It's just you got Parr, you got Gomez and Braun, but he's been pretty good, hitting nearly 300.
Called up on June 3rd, Shane Peterson. He's had a solid month here with the big league club. As a matter of fact, he's hot recently, as Suzuki has a chat with Malone. Shane Peterson over his last 11 games is hitting .371. So he's making his 16th start as a Brewer here today. 15 of those in left field. Had one start as the designated hitter against the Twins in Minnesota.
And he's 7 for 11 against left-handed pitching. That's not bad. Over 600.
Takes a strike on a 3-0 pitch.
He stays right in there.
Peterson and Malone were teammates briefly with Oakland. Peterson was only there for 2 games back in 2013. To the opposite field, foul. Right idea. Fouls it away. And the count is full, 3-2. Now Malone did what you're supposed to do when you're sent to AAA. He went and dominated the International League. And he just missed. Peterson draws the walk. Another excellent at bat. Brewers getting some good work from the bottom of their order with Perez and Peterson.
Man, that one didn't miss by much. And what that does now, it clears fires this inning. Doesn't have to lead off to third.
And that'll give Fires a swing here in the second inning. He's on the interstate with his batting average. 2 for 20. Had an infield hit his last time out. Hit a shot back up the middle. Hit the pitcher. Nice. Well, if nothing else, the Brewers able to clear his spot, and maybe Fires can give him a bonus.
Outfield playing pretty shallow. Decent speed at second base. Warren had a tough time throwing strikes to the bottom of this order.
Got the first 2 men out quickly, Lind and Ramirez, and he has thrown a ton of pitches to the last 3 hitters. Got Perez and Peterson in full counts and couldn't put them away. Two balls and a strike on Mike Fires, trying to help his cause today, and hits that one in the air to right. Torrey Hunter makes the play to end the inning. Get some good work from the bottom of the order, though. A lot of extra pitches there from Malone. Go to the third now. by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham. 800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. The most comfortable ballpark in America, Miller Park. All smiles here today. Paul Molitor bobblehead day today. The Twins manager has his bobblehead from his time as a Brewers player. That looks like a good group right there, having a little fun. Always more fun in a group, Rock.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Strength in numbers.
And you know your group will be able to enjoy baseball at Miller Park because of the roof, come rain or shine. Mike Fiers back to work, starting the third inning now. Bottom of the order coming up. Escobar, Malone, Santana. Molitor has his pitcher batting eighth once again today. So here is Eduardo Escobar, who had a huge home run yesterday, a game changer. Brewers had a 1-0 lead in the fifth inning. Escobar, with a 2-strike count, hit a 3-run homer.
Yeah, 1-2 count, and Garza had been dealing. Yeah, first 4 innings, very good. Got ahead in the count to a couple of hitters and allowed them to reach. Garza, losing pitcher yesterday, gave up a couple of homers.
2-0. Escobar takes a strike. Fiers has faced the minimum, although he's given up a hit, a single, to Eddie Rosario. Rosario was thrown out trying to steal second base. In there, 2-2.
There's a change up that Fiers was using very effectively his last time out against the Mets. It was much more effective in the strike zone, or was able to get more swings on it than he was with the curveball last time out.
Now when he has two pitches, he can be successful. When he has 3, he can be dominant, actually.
Yeah, fastball, cutter. He's got the cutter. We haven't seen many of those lately. The big overhand curveball and the changeup.
Last year had an ERA of 2.13 in 14 games with the Brewers. And he loses Escobar. So Fiers issues his first leadoff walk here in the third.
Hey, it's the Brewers and the Atlanta Braves in a 3-game series at Miller Park, Monday, July 6th through Wednesday, the 8th. Great seats are available starting at just $9. Call 414-902-4000 or visit Brewers.com for tickets.
Well, the pitcher Tommy Malone up there to bunt. Batting 8th in this Twins lineup. Twins hit their pitcher 8th. The same reason Craig Counsell bats his pitcher 8th when Gomez is leading off. They want to have as many base runner opportunities with power hitters leading off as they can. The Twins have a good one, Brian Dozier. Gomez is not leading off today, so no need for the pitcher to bat 8th.
Yeah, Malone handles the bat fairly well. 174 career batting average. Being in the American League, doesn't hit all that much. He's, before this year, 4 for 23.
But one of those 4 was a 3-run home run, which he hit the first pitch he saw as a major league hitter. His very first major league at bat in 2011. Hit a 3-run homer.
Only one way to go from there, right?
3 hits later and 4 years later, he's still at it.
They found his hole.
Which is plural in this case.
You're right. They found a way to pitch to him.
Ramirez creeping in at third. Malone showing bunt and takes a called strike 3. Down he goes.
Yeah, dropped the curveball on him. First time that Fire's been able to get that curveball in for a called strike.
So one away, runner at first. The 9th place hitter, Danny Santana, the shortstop, is up. Our Carsoup.com trivia today: which 2 uniform numbers did Paul Molitor wear while in Major League Baseball? You know, one of them was number 4. That's the one that is retired here at Miller Park. There are 7 numbers retired at Miller Park. And a strike. I guess 6 really. There is another number up there, number 50, that is for Bob Uecker. That's going to have to be updated here shortly to 60 years in baseball. But yeah, you got Raleigh Fingers and you got Yount and Molitor. No Brewer will ever wear 19 or 4 again. And I got him at first. Picked off first base. Escobar doesn't believe it, so he's just going to stand there, and I think Paul Molitor wants to take a look at this one. Escobar thinks he's safe. Let's go to the videotape.
Good throw. Well, is the tag a little bit late? Looks like Lynn got him on the elbow.
She got an out call on the field. Has to be clear and convincing to overturn it.
On that angle, not sure when Lind actually applied the tag on the elbow of Escobar. Get 30 seconds to take a look at it.
Calling umpire is Gabe Morales. He's a good umpire. He's made some great calls in this series that have gone to review, and on every occasion he's been proven correct.
Well, the question is, where does the tag applied? And was Escobar's hand in there? Let's see. Right there? Is that where it is, or is it too close to tell? I mean, it's taking too long now. It's been 30 seconds.
Yep, and Molitor's going to ask for a review.
They gave him a lot of time to determine whether they wanted to look at that play again.
So the calling umpire will come over with the crew chief. Dan Iasonia will join the group. He is wearing 58 on his sleeve there. And they will communicate with the replay crew in Chelsea, New York. And by our understanding, when we took a tour of the Replay Challenge Center, the umpires that are there, and they are regular umpires that you see around the circuit. This is just their week to be in the Challenge Center. They've been looking at this replay, so they've seen the angles.
And they have other angles other than the ones that we have seen. But, is there enough to overturn it? We'll see. It's awfully close.
Got to be clear and convincing to overturn a call, and the call on the field is out. So I got a long delay here for review, and one of the reasons why these umpires are should be enforcing the 30-second rules, because there's going to be a longer review coming if it's taking that long for your clubhouse personnel to determine it.
And Brewers and Mets had one that was over 4 minutes on Thursday. That's just too long to take a look at. I mean, if you can't determine safe or out or overturn or confirm in a minute and a half, I mean, it's taking too long.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a rule I think needs to be instituted.
I mean, they're just splitting hairs if you're looking that long.
You were the first I heard bring that up, but there has to be a time limit. And if you don't know after 90 seconds,
I mean,
you can't.
Too close to tell.
It can't be clear and convincing if you don't know after 90 seconds.
Right. I agree.
Because this is taking way too long here. Whether it goes for or against the Brewers, it slows everything down. The fans get restless. It's not entertaining.
And Mike Fiers is standing out there just killing time. And calls like this are not what inspired replay. It's the obvious calls that don't take any time at all to overturn or confirm. Well, it's an opportunity to, get up out of your seat, grab a hot dog, come back. You haven't missed a thing.
Umpires here, they're just waiting. They have it's out of their jurisdiction at this point. It's not like the NBA or college basketball. These umpires have no say in the decision at this point. So they're waiting on a ruling from the replay center in New York, and this is getting borderline ridiculous right now.
Yeah,
it's not important. I mean, the out is important, but again, if you can't determine it taking this long, then it can't be clear and convincing. And out is the call, so they don't overturn the call. It stands.
Not confirmed, it stands, which means that they could not tell whether it was right or wrong. The call in the field is what they're going to go with, and they could have determined that about 3 minutes ago.
3 minutes and 22 seconds once they put the headsets on. It took another minute or so prior to that. All right, 2 outs. And here is Santana in the count, 1-1. Good change up there from Fiers.
He's got that pitch working for him, and last couple of times out.
That's the one that can separate him. And try to curveball this time. Lucroy digging it out of the dirt just in case he swung at it. A good habit to get into for all you young catchers out there.
Yep, 2 strikes on the hitter, 3 balls on the hitter, and certainly when there's somebody on base, always have to block it.
Wants a changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oh, he just got a piece. I think overall the players have done a good job speeding up their pace, their rhythm, their habits, change their habits a little bit. Games are shorter this year. I know baseball would like to keep that trend moving in the right direction. It's under 3 hours now.
Yeah, players have done a very good job staying in the batter's box. I think that clock that is in every stadium that counts down that between innings has helped. Pace of play is much better.
Just goes to show you that when everybody, it takes everybody being on board to do it. And it's not that the game itself is slow. I don't think anybody's saying that. It's all the stuff around ball and play that is slow, and that's what needs to be fixed. I mean, I don't think you can lump it into the category of where would you rather be, or the game's not too slow. It's just perfect the way it is. But you go back and look at old film, even 20 years ago, the game just was played at a much better pace. All the between pitch stuff, batters in the box and between innings, and pitchers getting ready as Fiers issues a walk.
Yeah, there was always that kind of stuff. It's just the nature of the game right now. The way hitters attack their at bats, working the count, trying to get the pitch count up with the starting pitcher, guys taking until they have 2 strikes. I mean, that's never going to change. That's the way baseball is going to be. So you can only speed up the game so much because of that. Guys used to get in that batter's box not that long ago. You'd be up there hacking first pitch. You get one you like, you're on the attack. That's not the case all that much anymore.
And I'm not sure you can definitively say that helps the offense with that approach. I mean, there are a lot more teams, it seems like, this year I mean, look at the Royals, for example. That's a team that swings early, swings aggressively in a count, and I mean, they do damage quickly.
What it has done is, created, teams having to use 7-8 relievers in their bullpen because the pitch counts get so high so quickly. Used to break camp back in my day with 10 pitchers, 5 starters, 5 relievers. And that wasn't that long ago.
Brian Dozier had a man on, 2 away, 2 walks in the inning. Fires had a pickoff of Escobar at first base, went to a challenge. This is a dangerous bat, maybe the most dangerous bat in the Twins lineup right here. Joe Mauer still the biggest name, but Brian Dozier is the best hitter they have.
Yeah, not only best hitter, but most power. Second baseman.
15 homers this year for Dozier. Had a leadoff home run on Friday night. Bunted for a single to lead off yesterday's game. Fires got him to ground to third on the first pitch here today. Chopper. Fires will glove it and throw him out to end the inning. Big bat to retire for Mike Fiers. A lot going on in the top of the third. Brewers are coming up in the home half, still scoreless. And a reminder that tonight, Fox Sports Live, they've got all the news from the world of sports, including the Women's World Cup and highlights of a full day in the major leagues. Fox Sports Live is tonight. Fox Sports 1, as always, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Gene Segura leads off. Tommy Malone back to work, starting the bottom of the third inning. After a 23-pitch inning by Fiers, but he puts up another 0. Each club with 1 hit. Fiers is walked 2. Malone giving up a single to Hernan Perez. He's walked 2 as well. Two guys without the overpowering fastball, but both can be effective. And Segura, swing and a miss. Down he goes on strikes. Looping curveball from Malone.
Yeah, both strikeouts coming on that pitch. Got Lucroy in the first. So both curveballs that he's thrown have been down in the dirt with 2 strikes, and the Brewers not able to make contact on it. That's where you want it with 2 strikes.
Made 1 career start against the Brewers as Tommy Milone. Got a win in that game. A 7-inning performance with 2 earned runs allowed.
Yeah, that was here at Miller Park.
He was pitching for the Oakland A's back then. That was back in 2013. Seven innings, 2 runs against the 13 Brewers.
Tommy Milone exploiting that big strike zone right there. You see the way that Lucroy is trying to cover that outside corner.
It's got Lucroy in a hole, 0-2, and nothing in the strike zone. Down he goes.
He got a swing at it. I mean, Lance Barrett's calling it.
Home plate umpire Lance Barrett. I was looking at Tommy Milone's interleague record. Now, he beat the Cardinals earlier this year as you get a good look at that changeup grip, and right to the bottom it goes. Second time Lucroy struck out, and you just don't see that very often. Milone beat the Cardinals 11 days ago. There's Braun in the air, center field. Did he get it? Back is Rosario, and he's got room to make the play. 3 up, 3 down. Tommy Milone scoreless through 3 at Miller Park. Today on a Sunday afternoon. And let's check in on what's going on down on the farm, courtesy of Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Pitching for the Sky Sox of Colorado Springs in AAA, Hiram Burgos, a former big leaguer here with the Brewers, went 7 shutout innings in Memphis yesterday, got the win. He's 6-4 now. He's been up and down the Brewers minor league system, trying to pitch his way back to the big leagues. A changeup specialist himself. Eddie Rosario will start it for the Twins. 2, 3, and 4 coming up. Rosario, Mauer, and Plouffe. Fires with 3 scoreless innings. 2 walks and a single allowed. Had 2 quick innings to start it. An 8-pitch first, a 10-pitch second inning. And then ran into a little trouble with a couple of walks last inning. 23 pitches.
You can't be walking the bottom of this batting order. Can't be putting men on base Yeah, for the big boys at the top. Really trying to get a feel for that curveball. You can see Lucroy continues to call it. This hasn't been very consistent with that pitch this year. The only way to figure it out is keep throwing it. You just can't give up on it. It's too important for him. Here's another one.
And a 1-2. There's a good one there. Big breaker down to the bottom of the zone. Fiers went 4 1/3 against the Twins back on June 7th. He threw 91 pitches in those 4 1/3. He only gave up 2 runs, but he left with base runners on, and it's just one of those games he was walking the tight wire. Gave up 7 hits, had 3 walks. Traffic everywhere in that game, but he was able to get out of jams, much like he did last inning. But Counsell had to pull the plug on him. It was a tight game. The Brewers lost that game 2-0. Got him. This time Fiers with a fastball up the ladder. And Rosario strikes out, the second K for Fiers.
Yep, after 4 consecutive curveballs. They call the high heater. That's when the fastball becomes very effective for Fiers. And this is the strikeout pitch. When the hitter's thinking about the other stuff, the curveball and the changeup. Well done.
Just a straight 4-seam high fastball.
You know who used to do that all the time? The guy to the left of us, Bert Blyleven. High heaters, the big curveball.
Had one of the great curveballs of all time, did Bert Blyleven. So I guess if you stop the ball halfway to the plate, a high fastball and a curveball is in the same window out there, the same spot for a hitter to see.
It's out of the hand, the same trajectory, and it makes it very difficult. Don Sutton used to do it. Sandy Koufax, they said, did it. I never saw Koufax pitch, but very effective as opposed to the big curveball and the low fastball. Much different.
Mauer pulls this one right to Perez. And Fiers has retired the first 2 here in the 4th inning.
Not too many better guys to be around than Bert Blyleven. I mean, around here in the press box and on the field. He loves being on the field, doing baseball. Good teammate. We were together with the then California Angels back in '89 and '90.
He's a good man. He's one of the funny guys in the business.
Yeah.
You gotta, you walk by Bert in the hallway, you gotta somewhat get in a defensive position. You never know. Things will be punched and twisted as Plouffe flies out to end the inning. And check your shoes too. It might be on fire. afternoon. Little cloud cover. It is just perfect for baseball viewing here today. Brewers Twins interleague baseball at Miller Park. Good crowd on hand to see this one. Tommy Milone, Mike Fiers pitching well early. Milone 3 scoreless. He's only given up 1 hit. That was a little flare single by Perez. A couple of walks. Facing Carlos Gomez to start the 4th. No chin strap for Gomez. All a prop. He and Torrey Hunter having a little fun with each other a few innings ago. Carlos does have 5 home runs this year, 26 driven in. It's been an up and down year on the injury front for Gomez. Had a hamstring problem in April. Shut him down for 2 weeks. And this most recent injury to the hip never went on the disabled list, but had to suffer through it. Missed 4 games on a day-to-day basis out of the lineup. Gomez had a big swing earlier in the game. His helmet came off. He went to a knee. Columbia St. Mary's worth another look. Maldonado worked him up a modified chin strap. And Torrey Hunter imitating Gomez. That's great.
That was, of course, between innings.
Yes.
For the record.
So far, it's been the highlight of the ball game.
Right. That in a 20-minute review.
Well, it wasn't 20 minutes. Don't be all like that now. It was excessive, but not that excessive. 3:22 officially, and more like 5 minutes beginning to end as Gomez swings and misses, and out goes the helmet again, and he is down on strikes. Torrey Hunter enjoying that one.
That's the thing about that helmet. I think it's a good way for Gomez to realize when he's pulling his head, and when he swings and misses like that, that's when the helmet falls off. Never does it fall off when he makes contact.
So Milone now has 4 strikeouts. Before the end of the inning, so rudely interrupted my stat that I'm dying to share with you on Tommy Milone. He is 7-1 in interleague play, including a win against the Cardinals earlier this year. Has an ERA of 4.41.
But he's given up a ton of home runs. Did you check that out?
He has. He's allowed 13 homers in 11 interleague games. So I guess to put all that together, he's given up some hits, some runs, some home runs. But his team is getting him a lot of runs, and he's pitching well with the leads in those games.
And that's the way it's been for him this year. Did you see his run support over 6 runs a game this year?
Lind hits it hard. Diving stop by Mauer, and to his feet to the bag for the out. Converted catcher Joe Mauer looking like a slick fielding first baseman that time.
Yeah, much easier play for a right-handed throwing first baseman. A glove on the line side, and able to make the catch and get the out himself. Couple of steps and a dive, taking away extra bases from Adam Lind.
Well, Joe Mauer is among league leaders at first base in fielding percentage. Doesn't always indicate the best defensive first baseman. I wouldn't say any of those 3 are Gold Glove caliber defenders at first base, but it does indicate that what they can get to, they're making plays on, and that's important.
And it doesn't indicate really how good they are at saving errors for the other guys. You know, picking short hops, footwork around the bag, range. And all that stuff is maybe more important for a first baseman than the errors that he commits. How many do you save in the infield by being able to make plays on poor throws?
We saw one of the great defensive first basemen in the big leagues against the Royals, Eric Hosmer, and he hits as well. He's a slick fielding first baseman that does just that. He saves a lot of errors from throws from his infielders. Ramos not pleased with that call. He is in a 2-2 count.
One plate umpire is giving a little bit off that outside corner, but that one looked good according to Fox Tracks.
That one didn't miss by much. With 2 strikes, the Twins have 3 infielders on the left side. The payoff pitch, and right there where a man is stationed, Dozier makes the play. 1-2-3 inning. Tommy Milone. He has retired 7 straight. We are still scoreless.
And Casino still scoreless here in the series finale as we head to the 5th, but there is still time for you to bid on the personalized baskets made by the Brewers players' wives. These baskets include favorite items from Mark Adanasio, Carlos Gomez, Jonathan Lucroy, and many more. You can visit brewers.com/wives to bid on these. You have until 11:59 tonight. It is the final day, and all of the proceeds go to benefit Lissy's Place, which helps serve young women exiting the foster care system as well as homeless young women. So it's a terrific cause, and Sarah Lucroy and Larissa Braun joined us earlier this weekend to talk about the baskets. They're full of goodies, so make sure you bid.
All right, thanks, Sophia. Thanks for bringing that to light. And good work by those two. Torrey Hunter leads off. Grounder to Segura. He's got a long throw, short hop, and
nice.
Look at Lynn Pickett.
That's what we're talking about. Exactly what we were talking about when we had that graphic up with first baseman. And good defense. It wouldn't have been Adam Lynn's error. It wouldn't have affected his statistics, but it would certainly have affected Segura. And that's a tough pick. That's an in-between hop. Well done.
Beautiful play. And it keeps it rolling for Fiers, who's got 5 in a row. Segura to Lynn. Shortstop says thank you very much. One away for Kurt Suzuki, who lined out to right his first time up. There's that slow curveball. Kurt Suzuki, another former Oakland Athletic, just like Tommy Milone, Shane Peterson. Got a lot of baseball going on today. A lot of double headers, I think, unless my scoring system is messed up. There are 18 games on the schedule today. They've had some rain throughout earlier this week, forcing a few of these double headers. As Suzuki in the left for Peterson. There's out number 2.
Hey, that brings us to today's time of the game winner, Wisconsin Rapids Lions Club. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers 2015 home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
One of the teams that has a doubleheader today, the Phillies. It's going to be the Brewers' next opponent, and they're playing the Washington Nationals today. I'm assuming that is their last matchup, last chance. So they played 2 today, which you normally don't do on a getaway day. Fly ball center field. Gomez has to pull it back and bobbles briefly. Escobar holds his crown. Segura on a rocket from Gomez, saving an error. Speaking of saving errors,
yeah, Perez got out of there in self-defense. Yeah, Go getting there quickly. A little bit of a top spin lobber, and watch Perez now. Look out.
You can smile because the runner didn't advance. I don't blame him.
No.
Ripcord. Here's Tommy Milone, Twins pitcher, with 2 outs and a man at first. Phillies are facing Strasburg in the Nationals today in game 1. Washington has a 3-2 lead. That's in the 7th. And then the Phillies have a matchup tonight.
Yeah, wear that bullpen out before the Brew Crew gets there tomorrow.
Severino Gonzalez starts game 2 for Philadelphia. Phillies, it feels like their bullpen is in a perpetual worn out state this year. Although Papelbon's been good closing games, just not a whole lot of opportunities there.
Mm-hmm. Phillies have not announced a single starter for this series coming up.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what happens today, huh?
Right. 4-game series against the Phillies.
Broken bat, easy for Segura, and fires, puts up another 0-5 shutout against the contending Twins. Well, there is a great connection with the Twins and the Brewers, and Paul Molitor, their manager, and the retired number 4. It is Paul Molitor bobblehead day today here at Miller Park. A little bit unusual to have that with the opposing manager. Carsoup.com trivia. 2 uniform numbers did Paul Molitor wear? And number 4, you know that for a fact. He wore number 19 with the Blue Jays. That World Series title team. Finished his career with the Twins. Good to see Paul Molitor. He brings a smile to your face. Great memories with him as a Brewer, and he has great memories of being a Brewer. And his trip here to Milwaukee began with a trip to the Sea League experience that she said he enjoyed very much and actually got a little bit emotional about.
Yeah, hadn't changed a bit. I mean, looks the same and acts the same, and good to see him. I prefer to see him in a Brewers uniform, but hey, you know, a Minnesota native.
Yeah, grew up in St. Paul, went to Minnesota, was a Golden Gopher, outstanding talent with the Gophers, and then ended up being drafted and signed by the Brewers from the University of Minnesota. 15 years of his big league career with the Brewers. He's doing a good job with the Twins. First year manager this year for Molitor. Now he's been back to Miller Park on a number of occasions, and he's been back in a coaching capacity with the Twins, but the first time he has been a manager and returning to Miller Park. And when you're a manager, there's a lot more spotlight on you, and that's why there's a lot more fanfare around his appearance this year at Miller Park.
Went to Cretin High School in the Twin Cities. You know who else went to Cretin High School? Joe Mauer.
How about that?
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. Perez down on strikes. A changeup has the Brewers tied up in knots here today. 5 strikeouts for Malone.
It's been basically the fastball in and changeup away. He's thrown a couple of curveballs. Hasn't made a mistake with anything. That's right on the corner at the knees, and you can see Perez pulls his head trying to pull it.
Shane Peterson now with 1 away. He walked his last time up. Only hit for the Brewers was Perez's single with 2 strikes in the second inning. And the Brewers have not had a base runner since Peterson reached with a walk in that inning. Brewers have 2 lefties in their starting lineup here today. Gerardo Parra getting the day off. Strike outside corner, 2-1. And another one in there.
It just takes a little off, adds a little bit. He changes speeds with the curveball. The limited time he's thrown that pitch. Throwing strikes with everything lately.
Got him. Malone comes back with a fastball to strike him out. 6 Ks for Tommy Malone. 2 outs in the inning with Fires coming up.
Yes, the Brewers' 3rd free shirt Friday of the summer on Friday, July 17th. The Brew Crew opens up a weekend series against the Pirates, and all fans at Miller Park that day will get a Roll Out the Barrel t-shirt courtesy of American Family Insurance. Reserve your spot at Brewers.com.
The pitcher Fires with 2 away. Circumstances behind Malone's trip to the minor leagues this year. With Ricky Nolasco originally on the active roster, they sent Malone down. Then Nolasco went on the DL, and they brought Malone back up. But while Malone was in AAA, he had an ERA under 1 and won 4 games down there.
Right. So just like Scooter Genetti went down there with a good attitude, and he's back and throwing well. Was not very happy about being sent down, but got the job done down in the minor leagues, and oddly enough came back when Nolasco went on the disabled list. Having a great month of June.
Little tapper foul by Fires. He stays in there. Malone with a 2.52 ERA in June. He had his best strikeout game of the year at Texas against the heavy hitting Rangers. Struck out 8. He has 6 Ks through 4 2/3 here, and a swing and a miss, make it 7 strikeouts. He strikes out the side, and he has 4 Ks in his last 6 outs. No score 5 in the books. Brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. No score, Miller Park, Milwaukee, 5 innings down. We head to the 6th. Brewers Twins hooked up in an old-fashioned pitcher's duel here this afternoon. Hey, a reminder, next Saturday, the Rays head to the Bronx to take on the Yankees. That's a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. It starts at 11:30 a.m. Central. And then at 6 p.m., Baseball Night in America. It's the Brew Crew and the Cincinnati Reds on Fox. It's all this week on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox and Fox Sports 1. Full day of national coverage next week. We look forward to it.
You doing that game?
I am working with Eric Karros that game next Saturday in the Queen City. Be a lot of All-Star talk, I would imagine.
Yeah.
They are hosting the All-Star game. Danny Santana leads off and tries to bunt his way on.
Now, you worked with Eric Karros in Kansas City.
I did. He's got better hair than you, Rock, but
yeah,
you know,
he's got better hair than most guys.
That's for sure, and most women.
Right.
Now, Rock and I will be with you every other game on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Got the Phillies for 4 all-night games there in Philadelphia. Cruise right in after work, put the Brewers and the Phillies on. And then 3 games in Cincinnati, the Friday night game and the Sunday afternoon game on Fox Sports Wisconsin. I'm sure they're getting all the pieces put together for the All-Star game in the Queen City. Great American ballpark. Another tapper. Lucroy's got this one. Got to hurry. Throw, and it's in time.
Nice play. Adam Lind again. That was a tough catch. That ball almost hit Santana in the helmet.
Who knows where it goes if that happens.
And Lucroy really had no choice. He didn't have time to clear the runner. Gets rid of it quickly, and look how close it comes. Actually, I think Lind, his glove hit Santana's head as he goes by, but able to hold on to the baseball. And he gets the out.
Well, what a play by Jonathan Lucroy. And the question, did Lind keep his foot on the bag? Yikes, I'm not sure. Now,
might have been a tag if he didn't keep his foot on the bag.
Well, remember, Molitor's out of challenges. He challenged earlier, and the call was not overturned, so he cannot request a challenge here. We're not into the 7th inning either, so the umpires don't go look at it. So one away, and here is Dozier. And a strike.
Well, if you're the first base umpire looking to see if Lynn has his toe in the bag, the tag is late, that's for sure.
Yeah. Brewers got a break here. That's a bang call, but had Molitor had a challenge, that would have been one that would have been overturned, you would think. There's a big curveball in there for a strike.
That's still good concentration on the part of Adam Lynn to be able to catch that baseball.
An 0-2 pitch. High fastball fouled away. How about Lucroy as well, Rock? You know, with all the catcher's equipment on and having to make a play on the run like that, like a third baseman would on a bunt. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, grab it on the bare hand. It wasn't rolling all that much. A lot of times, you know, you come up short on that. You kind of get the grip on it. At the same time, you're grabbing the baseball, and a lot of times you just drop it.
So much harder to barehand the ball with the ball rolling away from you as it is in that case with Lucroy. There's no momentum to get it into the palm of your hand.
Yeah. Now once Lucroy is going to go down and spread his fingers out, make sure he has the baseball first, and then get off a throw.
That is a highly athletic play by the Brewer catcher. Ooh, just missed. Fires wanted that call from home plate umpire Lance Barrett. Didn't miss by much. Scoreless game. Dangerous hitter at the plate. Fox Tracks headed just off the plate. And now it's 2-2. Dozier is a pull hitter. And he's got big power.
And Brewers aren't playing him all that deep in the outfield. I mean, Peterson, you know, playing pretty much average depth. Gomez is back a little bit.
Three infielders on the left side. That spray chart would indicate that. Two balls, two strikes. See what he does here. And a changeup struck him out. Fires pulled the string on him. Dozier is strikeout victim number 3 for Mike Fiers.
It's been a good pitch for him all day. And Dozier having a rough day at the office so far. You can see that split change grip for Mike Fiers, and Dozier pulls his head and way out in front.
A great look at the grip and turns it over. It's not the traditional split finger fastball or forkball. It doesn't tumble as it comes out. It just allows him to throw it at a slower speed. And then he actually turns it over like you would a sinking fastball.
Yeah, you don't throw the changeup by slowing down your arm. It's just the grip that changes the velocity of the baseball as it gets to home plate.
That's a great shot. Great work by our camera crew up there. And the way he positions his index finger on the inside of the lace. So think about the way he throws that pitch, and his index finger is on the inside of the lace, which gives him a little bit of a brace, and then you force that pitch down, and that's what gets that tumbling action going.
A little traction to be able to, you know, hold on to that seam and give a little bit of that downward motion.
And a fastball right by him at 91, right down the middle. That's what all of that off-speed success will do. Fiers with an excellent 6th inning. To the bottom of the 6th, the Brewers and Twins at Miller Park.
Hey, two world-renowned soccer clubs face off at Miller Park on Tuesday, July 14th. As popular Mexican team Club Atlas takes on Newcastle United of the English Premier League. Plus the first 10,000 fans 18 and older get a soccer scarf courtesy of Potawatomi. Go to brewers.com/soccer for tickets.
Gene Segura leading off in the center field. Routine for Rosario. And there is the first out. Man, Tommy Milone is on a roll here. Fiers is pitching a beauty as well. Fiers has a 2-hit shutout through 6 innings. Milone has not allowed a base runner since the 2nd inning. He has now retired 11 straight.
Man, nothing hit all that hard. A lot of strikeouts, some pitches off the end of the bat. Got it working right now. That's what he's been doing this month, ever since being recalled from the minor leagues.
28 years of age, plays college ball at USC. Cue shot by Lucroy. And Mauer goes to the bag, 2 up and 2 down.
Making it look easy.
Man,
Really is.
just can't find the barrel on this guy. It is amazing what change of pace can do.
Yep.
Just anything to disrupt the timing of the hitter. That's the name of the game. That's true pitching.
And in particular, the changeup. I mean, it's such a good pitch. I mean, if you're a young pitcher out there, learn to change up. It's easy on the arm. You know, the tendency is you're not going to suffer those elbow injuries throwing a changeup. Easy on that elbow and shoulder. Both pitchers throwing very good changeups today.
Here's Braun. Ryan is 0 for 1. He walked in the 1st inning and stole a base. The Brewers have had just 3 base runners today. 2 walks and a single.
Ronnie nearly hit one out his last time up. Just got under it.
Yeah, that was the deep center. Sent Rosario to the track. Braun is the home run leader for the club. Powerball home run leaderboard. Braun up there in the top 10 in the league in homers as well. And RBIs are top 10 also. Power numbers, production numbers are up there for Braun. He'd like to see his batting average rise. On base percentage, he'd like to see rise as well.
Isn't it amazing, though, this day and age that 14 home runs is good for 8th in the league 3 months in?
Yeah. It's a new age.
Yeah.
There are 2 other players with 14 homers, Justin Upton and Joey Votto. Giancarlo Stanton leads the league with 27. He's going to be out for a while. Has a broken hamate bone on his wrist. He's going to be out. We're talking maybe a couple of months. Bryce Harper and Todd Frazier have hit 24 apiece. They are 2nd. And then on the RBIs, Braun is 7th in the league. He's tied with Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers with 47. Stanton has 67 runs batted in. And Braun draws another walk. So on a 3-2 pitch, Milone trying to get Braun to chase. He does not. His 2nd walk, and the Brewers have a man on with 2 away.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what you have to do against a guy like Milone with that changeup. Lay off that pitch. It's off the plate, but it's very difficult to do.
Snaps a string of 12 in a row retired by Milone.
It's almost as if Milone is pitching around Braun.
They walked him on 4 straight in the 1st. So that'll give Gomez a chance here. He is 0 for 2. A ground out and a strikeout. Scoreless game, bottom 6. 2 away. Gomez lines one left field fair. Bounces off the wall. Braun on his way to 3rd, and Gomez into 2nd with a double. On the first pitch, Carlos Gomez with the 2nd Milwaukee hit.
Now tried to sneak the fastball in on Gomez on the inside corner. Gomez would have nothing to do with it. He's sitting fastball, gets fastball, rips it inside the left field line, and Escobar played it very nicely down there in the corner.
Gomez is short stepping a little bit, trying to protect that hip when he runs. He has been full of life here today, though. 15th double to go along with 5 homers. It's a 2-out double, and it sets up the Brewers with runners at second and third and 2 away. Best scoring chance the Brewers have had today. Adam Lind with 2 outs. 2 ground outs today for Lind.
This is where that left field stroke for Adam Lind really comes in handy. And they're playing him like a right-handed pull hitter in the outfield.
Lind had 1 to hit and fouls it away. 0-2 now on Adam. He's putting together a real solid year at the plate. No real significant slumps. He's gotten on a couple of real hot streaks as well. Big spot for him here. 0-2 the count. And rolls over 1. Coming in, Dozier shovels it to first in time to end the inning. Brian Dozier with an excellent play to finish it off. And the Brewers strand a pair at second and third. We remain scoreless. Pitchers duel. We go to the 7th inning at Miller Park. Getting some excellent defense typically, and that has shown up in this one. It's brought to you by the Marshfield Clinic, our shining moment. Lucroy cutting down a would-be base stealer. And then you had Fires pick off Escobar. That helped clean up an inning for him. And then this play by Segura, and on the other end, Adam Lind with a beautiful scoop. Defense, the name of the game.
And Brian Dozier made a heck of a play to end that last inning. And Lucroy on that swinging bunt, able to get the out. Pitchers can't do it by themselves.
Scoreless in the 7th. Joe Mauer leads off for the Twins. He's 0 for 2 today. Fires with 4 strikeouts. And had back-to-back strikeouts to end the 6th inning. His pitch count's in great shape. He's pitching in the 7th inning. He only has 76 pitches. And there's a base hit by Mauer. Well, he got a ground ball that he was looking for, but Mauer finds the hole between first and second.
Yep, off speed pitch. He's able to pull into the hole. He's been hitting the fastball pretty much to left field. In the first during this series, and gets a change up and able to hook it in the right field.
It's just the third hit of the day for the Twins. Mauer is 1 for 3. Here's Trevor Plouffe. Now Fiers working ahead, gets Plouffe in a hole at 0-2. Well, he's had the hitters on the defensive here today. That's the name of the game for Mike Fiers.
Him getting ahead, and it hasn't been with just the fastball today.
Mauer at first. Leadoff single for the Twins in a scoreless game, and Plouffe fouls it away. Coaxes you into a defensive swing.
Yeah, one of the few cut fastballs that Fiers has thrown today. Really haven't seen much of that pitch as of late for Fiers.
Brewers have won 3 out of 5 from the Twins this year. They can secure a series win against the contending Twins today. Ground ball up the middle, long run, can't get there. And Mauer now on his way to third base. Well, that took a lot of bounces, but they had the middle wide open, and now the Twins are threatening with runners at first and third with nobody out.
Man, last couple of days the Brewers are beginning burned on 0-2 pitches. That was 0-2 to Plouffe. He rolls that one into center, a fastball up. Torrey Hunter got a big rally started yesterday with an 0-2 double to lead off an inning, and the Twins are set up nicely, first and third, nobody out.
It's good base running by Mauer, knowing a slowly hit ball, had a chance to go to third, and Fiers in trouble here. Twins at the corners for Torrey Hunter. And he popped him up. This is going to stay playable. Lucroy calls. That is a big out for Mike Fiers. Torrey Hunter on a foul pop is retired.
I'd like to have that one over again, but good pitch by Fiers, getting it up in the zone, and Hunter a little bit behind it. And now you get your ground ball, get out of this mess. You got a guy that will roll into double plays in Kurt Suzuki.
Suzuki's grounded into 8 double plays this season. The Twins catcher. Both of his outs today have been in the air. He lined out in the second and a fly ball out in the fifth to left field. Fiers has a good move to first. He has a pickoff today.
Yeah, Plouffe doesn't have a very big lead. He's barely off the bag at first.
Plouffe does not have a steal nor a stolen base attempt. If he runs, it would be a hit and run scenario. He goes, pitches in the dirt.
How about that?
So Plouffe takes off.
Wow.
And his first stolen base of the season. Second and third takes the Twins out of a double play situation.
Figuring that Fiers wasn't going to throw over again. That was a hit and run. I'm not sure why Suzuki didn't swing at that, but it was in the dirt. Maybe that's why he didn't swing. That was not a stolen base jump. He didn't even get the full speed.
Forces the infield in for the Brewers. 2-1 now. Well, Mauer at third base is a below average runner. You got very good arms in the outfield. All three spots for the Brewers. Peterson in left. Strong and accurate arm. Same for Gomez. And Ryan Braun in right. Two balls, one strike. Scoreless game. Twins threatening. And Fire skips it in. 3-1.
That guy hitting .229 at the plate at first base open. I mean, you really don't want to walk this guy. You want to make him, swing the bat, get him to pop up. Myers has had a number of pop-ups today. That's a tough guy to double up, Escobar.
Hitters count. And the 3-1 pulled foul. Might have chased ball 4. Hey, look at that play over there. That's the way to do it.
Nice adjustment.
The Brew Crew making a play. So fitting for the game today. Yes. Even slipped a little and still able to bring it in. Making a young man's day down there. Three balls, two strikes. Ground ball, and it is foul. Wow, yeah. Not by much.
Right.
Ramirez was guarding the line, and it was foul by an eyelash.
Yeah, called by the third base umpire, Scott Berry, down there. Right down the line. Ramirez in with a bag, and boy, that's about as close as it gets.
Wow.
Doesn't matter where it bounces past the bag. If it bounces before the bag, it goes over the bag, it's fair. Pretty close.
A break for Fires. Long look in. Going through a number of signs, and Fires finally steps off. He wants Lucroy out to chat. Now, what do you throw here? That's the big question between these two.
Well, his best pitch today has been his changeup. I mean, changeup, high fastball. Don't see him throwing a curveball unless he really does not worry too much about walking Suzuki. But if they wanted to walk him or pitch around him to load the bases to set up the double play, they would have done it already.
All right, we'll see what they've come up with here. Second and third, Mauer and Plouffe, 3-2 pitch in the dirt, ball 4. Suzuki draws the walk.
I didn't mind walking him.
So that will load the bases. Michael Blazek in the bullpen. And Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, is on his way out.
You got a guy up there that is more prone to the strikeout. Suzuki very rarely strikes out, which is why they were so careful with him. Makes contact, puts it in play. Escobar with the 3-run homer yesterday.
That was a big one. Game changer yesterday off Matt Garza. It came in the 5th inning. A 3-run shot turned a 1-0 Brewers lead into a 3-1 deficit. And Escobar will bat with the bases loaded. He has a walk and a single in this game. I'm sure his confidence is riding high after that day he had yesterday. Not only did Bases are loaded. Looks like the Brewers corner infielders will make a play at the plate. They'll try to turn 2 up the middle on a ground ball. Got to hurry to do that on Escobar, though. In the air, left field. This could be a close one here. Mauer tags. Peterson catches the throw all the way in. One hop and the slide safe. Just to the right of the plate. And Mauer slips in with the first run of the game.
Yeah, nice job by Peterson. It was a pretty good throw, just a little bit off the mark. And Joe Mauer able to score. You know, the Brewers had the right guy at third base. Mauer doesn't run all that well. Able to beat the tag because the throw is on the first base side of the bag. Mike Peterson doing a nice job surrounding that ball. Got the momentum toward home plate. Looked like a kick toward first base on the hop.
Well, by that much. So the Twins have the lead here in the 7th inning. If the throw is on the third base side of that plate down the line, which is a tough spot to be.
Does Mauer ever touch the plate? I'm not sure. If that front foot, he pops up and goes over the plate. That doesn't matter.
No challenge. Here's Eduardo Nunez pinch hitting. So the Twins get Tommy Milone to lead, and he is out of the game. 6 shutout innings for Milone, 7 strikeouts. In line for the win now. Looking ahead to the Brewers 7th. Ramirez, Perez, Peterson. 6, 7, and 8 in the order coming up. This is huge here for Fiers. 1 run, no problem. A base hit here, and the Twins could put 2 more on the board to make it 3-0.
This is where hitting the pitcher 9th hurts the Twins. And that's the last thing they want to do is take Milone out of the game, as well as he's been pitching.
Strike. Two strikes on Nunez. 1 and 2 the count. Twins with 2 hits and a walk in this inning. They've scored a run. Oh, up and in, almost hit him. Did he go? That's a question. And first base umpire says no. Checks his swing. No swing at all. You be the judge.
Does he start the bat? It looks like, well, maybe not. I mean, just kind of spinning out of the way, and the bat goes across the plate. No swing.
Goes back to our conversation yesterday about how guys take pitches. Do you turn in or out? Puts you in a very tough spot. 2-2 is on the ground. Segura. And a close play over there, but the inning is over. So a good job by Fiers to get through it with no more damage. But a run scores. It's 1-0 Twins. Stretch time at Miller Park, and it's time for Miller Park's presentation of God Bless America. Enjoy.
From the Brewers Guest Services.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
for the season for the Brewers. 66 home runs this year, and they could use a couple of those. The home runs have defined the first 2 games of the series. The Brewers had 3 of them, including one from Ramirez and Jeanette and Parra on Friday, the opener. Now Ramirez leads off, and Rock, the new pitcher, is Blaine Boyer after 6 shutout innings by Malone.
Yeah, I think the Brewers very happy to see Malone out of the ball game. He was tough today. Malone, I should say Boyer, 36th appearance. We saw him yesterday for 1 batter. Had 3 consecutive scoreless appearances. Struck out the only batter that he faced in yesterday's game here at Miller Park.
A wave and a miss. A nasty breaking ball by Boyer. Featured that yesterday. He throws it hard as well.
Yeah. He's got that mid-90s fastball, changeup, curveball. And he'll drop that on you too, the slider.
Try to get Ramirez to chase. Back-to-back sliders. 1-0 Twins. They just scored in the top of this inning on a sacrifice fly by Escobar. He was driven in 4 runs the last 2 days. Missed again. 3-1. Brewers can still give Fires a win in this game. They have to come back and take the lead and then hang on. Have to do it here in this inning. Fires still pitching well, just the 1 run through 7. No offense today, though. Ramirez into right center field. That is going to get down. To the wall it goes. Ramirez on his way to second with a double. A leadoff double for the Brew Crew.
A 3-1 pitch, and Ramirez able to drive it into the gap out there in right center field. And watch the way he stays back. That was a slider, maybe even a cut fastball, and Ramos able to drive it into the opposite field, and that's a leadoff double for the Brewers. First time they've had their leadoff hitter aboard today.
And Craig Counsell will make a move here. Ramirez is out. Hector Gomez will pinch run, and likely to stay in the game at third base. So Ramirez's day is over. 1 for 3. And that sets up the tying run in scoring position. Hernan Perez now. Twins are expecting him to bunt, and he shows bunt to the right side. It's a good one. Mauer's only play is first, and that'll move the tying run to third base.
Good job. That's got what guys like Perez have to be able to do. Execute late in the game. So he's able to get a base hit in the second. Now he sacrificed in the 7th inning. That's the way he gets that bat out in front and drops it down the first base line. And that is a nice bunt. Good execution by Hernan Perez.
And Hector Gomez applauding the effort. So there's the tying run. Shane Peterson bats. Left. First time he's faced a right-handed pitcher. At the plate presented by Wendy's for Peterson. And right away to left field, it is slicing. It is a foul ball. Close.
Well, going right with it, a breaking pitch, and clearly foul down that left field line.
Twins bring their infield in, trying to protect this 1-0 lead. That can open up some holes. Here's the 0-1. Peterson shatters his bat right to Mauer, and that's going to be out number 2. So they brought the infield in, and that keeps Hector Gomez at third. 2 outs now. A key out for Boyer, just destroys the bat of Shane Peterson.
Yeah, went with a curveball, and Peterson hit it foul down the left field line, then busts him inside and blows up the bat. Well, it's going to come down to Gerardo Parra.
Parra will pinch hit for Fiers. 2 outs, runner at third. That'll close the book on Fiers with 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. Pitch well.
Yes, he did.
Parra has 3 hits in the series, including a leadoff homer. We showed you that. That was on Friday night. He's been good as a pinch hitter as well this season. He is 6 for 12 as a pinch hitter. Very familiar in this kind of role. One ball, 1 strike on Gerardo. Those are the numbers for Parra as a pinch hitter. He's driven in a pair. Does have a triple. Big spot for him. With the slider of Blaine Boyer, Hector Gomez has to be ready to run on a wild pitch as well.
Man, he throws that curveball that could end up in the dirt.
Here's a 1-1. Parra left field. It is down. A base hit. In the score is Gomez.
What a nice piece of hitting by Parra. Boy, he's been something else. He was throwing the curveball, left it up, probably because Gomez is at third, didn't want to spike it. Afraid to put it in the dirt, hung it, and Parra went right with it into left field. That's a nice piece of hitting.
Jimmy John's delivery of the game. A pinch hit. RBI single on a 2-strike count. Parra delivers. Yeah, he's fired up.
Yeah, he's been very good for Milwaukee. Doesn't really matter what role he's been in as a pinch hitter, now driving in the tying run.
Here is Segura now with Parra at first.
The disadvantage of having a little inexperience in left field, Escobar plays really deep. And because of that, Parra is able to drop one in front of him.
Escobar drove in the tying run with a sac fly. Brewers tie it quickly here in the bottom of the 7th.
Usually with a left-handed hitter up, you know, the left fielder is not going to play quite as deep. The fact that he's not comfortable in going back on a baseball is why Parra was able to dump that into left field.
Took 7 innings to get a run on the board. Twins scoring in the top of this inning. Fiers did a great job to get out of it with only 1 coming in. And the Brewers have tied it here in the home 7th. Segura cues it foul.
Well, if anything else, it's good that Fiers wasn't tagged with a loss after pitching the way he did today. Got him off the hook.
Will Smith ready to pitch the 8th. They'll have a few left-handers in that run as well. Oh, and 2 the count to Segura. 2 outs. And down he goes. Segura strikes out. The inning is over, but Gerardo Parra continues to deliver. 2-out RBI single in a pinch hit appearance. Ties it at 1. We head to the 8th. All even. Brewers Twins. by Escobar in the top half. RBI single by Parra in the bottom half. There are the changes. Hector Gomez, who pinch ran and scored the run, will stay into play second. That moves Perez to third. And the new pitcher is Will Smith. Marshfield Clinic leaders in relief. Will Smith is on that list. He is second on the club in appearances. He'll make his 34th here today. Only Jeffress with more.
Yeah, last pitch on Thursday against the Mets, only a third of an inning. Smith has been very good this year, to say the least. Only 5 of 22 inherited runners have scored. Doesn't have that to deal with. Starting the inning here in the 8th. Got a 133 earned run average, and look at the strikeouts. 36 strikeouts and 27 innings of work.
Excellent numbers as they start to close the roof. There is some rain moving in. Closing it up. It's about a 10-minute process. And it's the beauty of Miller Park in all its glory. No rain delays, no rain outs. That's why I call it the most comfortable ballpark in America.
I would agree.
Great sidelines, huge concourses.
And the fact that we don't have to go to a hotel after the game.
Yes, extremely comfortable in that category as well.
Yep.
She's a beaut. If you don't believe that, then you're just wrong. You got to go somewhere else. Danny Santana swing and a miss. 0-2 now on the Twins shortstop. Judging by the radar and the pain in Rock's elbow, there is a pretty decent amount of rainfall coming our way.
Did you notice that? And he's shaking it out a little bit.
It did. Seemed slightly uncomfortable over there, and can only mean one thing.
You know, the areas that hurt seem to increase as I get older when there's a chance of rain.
Yes. Feels like it's going to rain a lot.
Neck, back, knees, elbow.
0-2 pitch. Santana just back from the minor leagues. Replaced Byron Buxton on the active roster. They put Buxton on the DL before this series after he injured his thumb on Tuesday. There's a ground ball, a hot one. Look at Gomez from his knee. What a play. Hector Gomez making an impact defensively.
It's been a defensive clinic here today for both teams. Both teams playing some good defense, which is one of the reasons why it's a 1-1 score. Going down to get it, and he's got plenty of arm to get the out from his knees. Santana runs well.
Gomez has one of the best arms in the entire organization. Feel like it's wasted a little at second base, but he needed it right there. Beautiful play. Here's Dozier. Strike. Smith pumps a breaking ball in there. Brian Dozier is 0 for 3. Dangerous bat for the Twins, and the Brewers have held him in check. And now Smith has him in an 0-2 count.
Mike Fiers did a really good job keeping him off balance. Good combination of change-ups and fastballs, and was not able to get one out of the infield. Not easy to do against that guy.
Fiers struck him out on a changeup in the 6th inning. Dozier's first time up, he had a little half swing on the first pitch of the game and a ground out to third. Next time up, he had a little cue shot right back to the mound, and then Fiers struck him out. So he hasn't been able to find the sweet spot on that bat yet. Smith trying to keep it that way. The 1-2 is in there, called strike 3. Fastball from Smith. 2 outs in the 8th.
Well, the Brewers post-game concert series presented by Miller Lite continues on Saturday, August 15th, as the Goo Goo Dolls perform a free post-game show following the Brewers matchup with the Philadelphia Phillies. Visit brewers.com/concerts to reserve your spot today.
Two outs for Eddie Rosario. He's 1 out of 3 today. Had a single in the first inning, was caught stealing shortly thereafter. And then he has struck out twice his last 2 times up. 2 of the 4 Fires strikeouts here today. Tommy Milone went 6 shutout with 7 Ks. Fires went 7 innings, 1 run, 4 Ks. Neither will factor in the decision.
And neither should have been caught with a loss today. They both pitched the ball, threw the ball very well. One of Fire's better efforts this year.
Two and two. Smith is tough on lefties. And when he can steal a strike with a fastball, as he did for strike 1, that can really set him up. Now it's 2 and 2. And he didn't bite on the breaking ball this time.
Yeah, lefty's hitting only .233 against Smith.
And lost him. That is one that got away for Will Smith. And the last guy you want at the plate right now with a man on is Joe Mauer. So Smith walks Rosario. 2-out base runner. The go-ahead run at first. And we'll have to deal with Joe Mauer. Mauer 1 out of 3 today. His base hit was a ground ball through the hole at first and second last inning. And he's a good hitter against left-handed pitching. Cut and a miss on a slider. He's actually a better hitter against lefties this year. .273 average compared to right-handed pitchers. 3 of his 4 homers have come against lefties.
And both of those numbers down for Joe Mauer, though. Those numbers usually in the 300s.
That one's in there. Fastball right on the edge.
Even if you're looking for that pitch, you're not going to do much with it. Perfect on the outside corner. This is where Smith usually puts the lefties away with that slider. Maybe see a couple of them in a row. Mauer doesn't chase much, though.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Got a runner at first. Smith deals and misses with another fastball. 2 and 2. He's trying to hit that same spot.
Well, doesn't want to go 3 and 2 to give Rosario a head start. The pitch he wants to get him with right here.
See what he does. Runner goes and a swing and a miss. Down goes Mauer. Will Smith strikes him out to end the inning. Twins strand a runner, still tied at 1, and the Brewers have the big boys coming up Jonathan Lucroy will lead off as we head to the bottom of the 8th.
To lead off, I'm Craig, he's Jerry. We're getting ready for Brewers Live postgame. And how about Gerardo Parra coming off the bench last inning to tie this game? Big pinch hit RBI.
Oh, he's so versatile. He does so much as a starter and so good for this ball club. But as a pinch hitter, 7 for 13 this season. Got a big 2-out hit for the Brewers.
That worked out pretty well, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
As we get you ready for Brewers Live.
Yes, it did.
We do what we're told, folks, but we'll be here right after the game. Brian?
All right, Craig and Augie, thanks. Looking forward to that. The Brewers trying to take the lead here in the 8th. It's going to be a final at-bat win for someone here today. Casey Fiend on the mound for Minnesota. All tied at 1. Lucroy followed by Braun. And then Carlos Gomez.
And we saw Fiend in yesterday's ball game, a scoreless inning, gave up a hit. No runs, 21st appearance. He spent some time on the disabled list this year.
Lucroy's had a tough day at the plate today. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. You don't see Luke strike out multiple times in a game very often. He's trying to find one he can hammer here. 2-0. And it's 3 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, Fiend doesn't walk too many. Really good walk to strikeout ratio. And he's behind Lucroy 3-0.
Lucroy's hit 1 home run this season. That was against Minnesota. Missed a good chunk of the season with an injury, a toe injury. And it's 3-2. He had a rip. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Lucroy comes up empty.
Yeah, right on the outside corner. Good pitch.
Lucroy hitting .260 since coming off the DL. All of that contained here in the month of June. Set a major league record for catchers last year for doubles in a season. Past Ivan Rodriguez, Pudge Rodriguez of the Texas Rangers. He did it in the late 90s. All tied at 1 here, bottom of the 8th. Each club with 4 hits. And a 3-2. Lucroy takes ball 4.
All right.
Leadoff walk. And the go-ahead run is aboard with Braun coming up. Braun with 3 hits in the series. He's been on twice here today via the walk. 0 for 1. Had a hit last night in a pinch hit appearance and drove in a run in the bottom of the 7th. He bats here in the bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 game. Casey Fiend from the stretch, and Braun takes ball 1.
And a cut fastball from Fiend. Didn't want to start Braun out with a fastball. A little wrinkle in it. Didn't miss by much.
Fiend, he doesn't walk many and he doesn't give up many homers. He's only given up 1 home run this season. That was against Detroit. That ball's deep. Ryan Braun will watch it fly. Goodbye. Home run for Braun. A 2-run shot. 3-1 Milwaukee.
Well, what were those game after an off day stats? Same pitch. Fiend threw him a cutter again, and there it is. Ryan Braun, he knew it. Looked in the Brewers dugout. There he is again. Wow. No doubter.
That's the swagger of the MVP Braun of 2011 as Gomez cuts and misses. First home run at Miller Park for Ryan Braun since May 25th. It had been over a month. Homered against Tim Lincecum back in late May. And he hits one off a guy that has only allowed 1 all season.
And he knew it. And giving the Brewers a 3-1 lead.
2-run blast by Ryan Braun, number 15 of the year. He's got 49 RBIs. That gets K-Rod ready in the bullpen. Oh, 2 to Gomez. Down and away. Carlos in a 1-2 count. Well, what a moment here at Miller Park. Those are the ones that leave good memories. Now we'll see if the Brewers can finish this thing off today. Gomez with a soft liner. That's a base hit. Carlos Gomez with 2 hits today. A double, now a single in his last 2 at-bats, and the Brewers have a man on here in the 8th with nobody out.
Well, last couple of times up, he was patient, stayed on that pitch, and that time Gomez able to muscle one into left. Running situation for Carlos. You never know. Got it down the hand a little bit. Shaking out the bees.
He got those bees buzzing. He'll take the hit. They don't hurt near as much when it ends up as a base hit. First 3 batters have reached. Walk, home run, single. Here's Adam Lind. Casey Fiend doesn't give up runs very often. This is only the 4th game this year he has allowed runs. There goes Gomez, and no chance. No. Carlos will swipe second base without a throw.
Yeah, there was no way that Suzuki was going to be able to get Carlos on that. What a jump he had. 7 for 11 now in stolen bases. stole that one on the pitcher.
A strike to Lynn. Adam here today is 0 for 3. Had 2 men on in the 6th inning and grounded out to Dozier. Dozier made a nice play. It was a little slow roller. Golden opportunity to add to the lead here. Brewers have not had a winning homestand this season. They could secure it with a victory here today. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mets, trying to do the same to the Twins. He's been terrific with runners in scoring position. 3 of his 10 homers with runners out there.
Carlos not afraid to steal third base. The Twins keeping an eye on him.
Missed inside, little low. 3-2 now on Adam Lynn. A Ryan Braun 2-run home run has given the Brewers a 3-1 lead here in the 8th. There goes Gomez. Lind in the air, left field. Gomez on his way back. Escobar, and watches this one go out. Wow, Escobar turned around, and Lind with a wall scraper and a 2-run homer. 5-1.
Boy, that one had some carry on it. Goodness.
An explosion here for the Brewers. 4 runs in, 2 2-run homers, and a Badger Mutual Insurance run, increasing the Brewers' lead to 5-1.
Well, he's got some opposite field power, doesn't he? Carlos Gomez running on the pitch, and watch Escobar. Not even close. Carries out of here.
And the insurance courtesy of Lynn's 11th home run of the season. Tell you, I was watching Gomez as well, and he was all over the place. Slid halfway or about a foot away from the bag, started running back to second base. Then he got to jog in with Adam Lynn. 5-1 Brewers. All 5 runs coming in the last 2 innings. We'll take a timeout. Pitching. TC's down for the count after the Brewers put 4 on the board here in the 8th. Still nobody out. And those are the two right there, Braun and Lind, with 2-run home runs apiece. New pitcher is Ryan Presley, and Hector Gomez at the plate, his first at bat.
Well, Presley has put together a number of scoreless appearances, 4 in a row. Last pitched on June 23rd against the White Sox, 2/3 scoreless. Another guy that didn't give up too much. Pretty good numbers coming in.
And that ball is hit deep into right center field. Torrey Hunter on the run, and he's got it for the out. Smooth running catch on the warning track by Hunter, and Hector is retired. Well, Lind hit it out, but it was certainly not a no-doubter. Gomez took off on the pitch. And as that ball went up into the air, I think Gomez realized he had to stop and start.
Yeah, he heard contact, and instead of slowing down, he just kind of slides way in front of the bag. But look at Trevor Plouffe deking him.
Well, all while there's a ball going out of the ballpark
right
during all of that.
Well, Plouffe wasn't sure where it was. He was trying to get Gomez on a double play. Almost worked. But Gogo able to go back, then that's tag up, and scores on the home run.
Hernan Perez. Well, that home run by Lind extended his hitting streak to 8 straight. I don't know what closing the roof does to the wind trajectories inside Miller Park as Perez lines one to right. Beautifully done. And he's got 2 more hits today. This guy is really swinging the bat well.
Yes, he is. Base hit to center. Base hit to right, and a beautiful sacrifice bunt to set up that Gerardo Parra base hit to tie it up.
Playing with a lot of confidence right now. Hernan Perez.
I'm not sure if it's the roof closing or Tommy Malone coming out of the game.
You know what?
That was it.
That's a great point. And getting boxed in with your pitcher batting 8th, that really cost the Twins there. Peterson toward the middle. Dozier will step on the bag himself, and too late at first. Peterson able to beat it out to extend the inning. At the time, Molitor, you can understand his thinking. The Twins had scored a run, and there are runners at second and third, so he pinch hit for his pitcher, thinking this is a chance maybe at a knockout blow. And instead, the pinch hitter, Nunez, grounded out, and then that ended the inning. Well, it forced Mahler to go to his bullpen. Blaine Boyer gave up a run that allowed the Brewers to tie the game, and then Casey Fiend giving up 4 before getting an out here in the 8th.
And those are the decisions that Molitor has not been forced to make all that often in the American League. You don't have to worry about, pulling your pitcher for offense in the American League, and makes your job as a manager a little bit easier. Actually, a lot easier.
Jason Rogers pinch hitting. Counsell sent Parra to pinch hit last time around. He delivered with a game tying single, a 2-out RBI single for Gerardo Parra. Over to third. Plouffe's got it. He'll go to second to end the inning. How about that? The Brewers tied at 1 to start the 8th. Lucroy walked, and then Braun touches them all, a no-doubter. And then after a Gomez single, Adam Lind with a wall scraper, another 2-run homer, 4 on the board. It's 5-1 Milwaukee. By Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Started with the roof open. Roof now closed with some rain moving in. And the Brewers lead 5-1. Our AT&T U-verse rewind. Mike Fiers did the heavy lifting here today. Went 7 strong. Just 1 run allowed. He struck out 4. The big hits. Gerardo Parra tied it in the 7th. Pinch hit RBI single. Braun goes boom. 2-run shot to give the Brewers the lead in the 8th. And then 2 batters later, Adam Lind with what he hopes is a knockout punch. 2 2-run homers in the 8th. 5-1 Brewers. And now Frankie Rodriguez is on. Not a save situation any longer.
Yeah, but he was up getting ready. He was going to come in a tie game, certainly in a close situation. But once you get him all lubed up and ready to go, you got to bring him in. 28th appearance for Frankie, and he's 15 out of 15 in save opportunities.
Trevor Plouffe pops this one foul and out of play.
I guess the rule of thumb in baseball, you get your closer ready to come in a game, you got to bring him in.
Yeah. Now, he's been, he has not worked much this year. He could certainly handle a much greater workload. He'd love to. He'd love to have save opportunities more often.
Last pitched on Wednesday.
Ball and a strike on Plouffe. Brewers 3 outs away from a series win. And a season series win against the Twins.
This has had impeccable command in the first half so far this year with his fastball. Everybody wants to talk about the changeup, and that is a great pitch for him. But the fastball, the location on the corners has been what has made him so successful so far this year.
Full count to Plouffe. Brewers are headed to Philadelphia tonight. 4-game series with the Phillies starting tomorrow. 7-game road trip. Phillies Reds. And then a quick homestand of just 3 games against Atlanta. And right back on the road. And Plouffe draws a walk. So Frankie walks the leadoff batter. Didn't miss by much. Miller Lite, what's on tap? The pitching matchups, and I think the ones on the right side are not set in stone quite yet, other than Hamels. They got a doubleheader today with the Phillies. So Nelson, Youngman, Loesch, and Garza will be the 4 on the mound. All night games, all 5:30 air times, with the exception of Thursday's 5 o'clock air time here in the Central Time Zone. Half hour earlier on a getaway day. Hunter tries to bunt his way on.
Yeah, trying to get base runners, and wily old veteran Perez is right on top of him. 3 for 11 in the series, and 2 of them are homers. All 3 hits came yesterday.
Yeah, had a double and 2 home runs in yesterday's game. Minnesota continues their road trip. They are headed to Cincinnati. So they'll continue with National League rules. They go to Cincinnati for 3, and then they go to Kansas City for 4 on a 10-game road trip. Could be a defining road trip,
right,
on what kind of team the Twins are going to be this year. Do they go try to make a few trades to fill some holes and strengthen their club, or do they stand pat, or do you start selling a few players?
Those 4 games in Kansas City, those are big.
Now, those are division games. Twins are 4.5 back to start play today of the Royals in the Central. But there are only 3 other teams in the American League with a better record than the Twins.
Right.
So they're in a division with one of the best teams in baseball. Twins have the Royals have the best record, best winning percentage in the American League. Did he go? They'll ask. He did not. Checked his swing. Young umpire and a veteran player.
Messing with the Brewers dugout, saying he didn't go. Could have gone either way.
And Hunter sends that one deep to left field. That is not coming back. Just like that, the Twins are right back in it. A check swing and then a home run. Third home run for Hunter of the series. And it's 5-3. Minnesota down 2 now.
Hung a curveball. Curveball and a 1-2 count. And Torrey Hunter knocked it out of here. A couple of insurance runs by Adam Lynn coming up big. I wouldn't be throwing Torrey Hunter too many off-speed pitches these days. I mean, he has been all over the curveballs.
Well, they got new life, and he cashed it in. So now K-Rod has to start it all over. Got a 2-run lead to work with now. Nobody out. Suzuki the batter.
Knebel threw him a first pitch curveball. Talking about Torrey Hunter, he knocked it out of the ballpark yesterday.
Well, the stats don't lie. Frankie Rodriguez does struggle in non-save situations for whatever reason.
A lot of closers do. Not just Rodriguez, not just Frankie. Most of them don't have that same intensity. Well, the intensity should be there now for K-Rod. A 2-run lead now. Still nobody out.
This is only going to be the 4th game all season where he has allowed runs. And he had a stretch of 10 consecutive outings without being scored upon, covering 10 innings. That snapped here today. K-Rod made an all-star team last year. He's got a chance to make another one this season. His ERA was an even 1.00 coming into play today. And that one just missed. Boy, that's close.
A couple of close pitches to Trevor Plouffe. He ended up walking. And that didn't miss by much.
To 1-2 it goes on Suzuki. Right off the edge. Not by much. And a shot right to Segura. Out number 1. A line drive bullet by Suzuki. Segura right there for it.
Tough guy to punch out, Kurt Suzuki. He's up there battling and hit it hard, but Segura to make the play. Well, they fought off just about everything K-Rod had, and finally a line out to short.
Here's Eduardo Escobar. Switch hitting left fielder, has a base hit and a sac fly today. Also a walk. 1 for 1. His sacrifice fly was the first run of the game. It was in the 7th inning. Gave the Twins a 1-0 lead. They held it briefly. Brewers tied it in the bottom of the 7th and then scored 4 in the 8th. And right off the end of the bat, 2 outs. Soft liner to Hector Gomez. K-Rod 2 away. That 2-run homer by Hunter and brought the Twins within a pair. K-Rod down to the final out to seal this one away. Shane Robinson will pinch hit for the Twins. And it's on the ground up the middle. Hector Gomez, strong throw, and it gets by Lind, and this game continues. Looked like a catchable ball. That'll be an infield hit for Robinson.
That was a good play by Hector Gomez. Able to get there. He's got that strong throwing arm. You can see the footwork of Adam Lind's foot right in the middle of the bag. But he uses the corner. He's able to get there and get the out.
So the game is extended here by at least one more batter. Twins will bring the tying run to the plate in Danny Santana.
And this is where you want to end it. You got Dozier on deck.
Santana takes a strike. Strike. Fastball. 0-2 the count. Nearly 39,000 on their feet. Brewers trying to win a series. Santana doesn't bite. One and 2 the count. Danny Santana. K-Rod trying to make a winner out of Will Smith. He pitched a scoreless 8th inning. Tying run at the plate for the Twins. The 1-2 on the way, and a swing and a foul. Look out in the seats. Yikes.
Just barely able to stay alive, just flipping the bat out there because it was by him. Let's see if he can hit that changeup. I doubt it.
Little flare, going to be a tough play. That ball will fall fair. Robinson on his way to third. That is a base hit for Santana with 2 strikes.
Another fastball. That time Santana able to fight it off. Now you got real problems. Got Brian Dozier coming up. He leads his team in home runs. Frankie throwing a lot of fastballs. Here it comes. Fastball in, but Santana able to fight it off, and the Twins still alive.
Boy, that is a huge hit for the Twins. Now they get their best hitter, their best home run hitter to the plate, and the Twins are a swing away from taking the lead in this one.
And don't think that Santana might think about stealing a base to get into scoring position.
Dozier has faced K-Rod 3 times. He's 2 for 3 against him. Brian Dozier leads the American League in extra base hits. Only Todd Frazier has more in the major leagues. A dangerous bat. He's had a tough day today. He's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. First and third. Tying run at first for the Twins. And a swing and a miss.
And pretty good curveball right there. Not a guy you want to mess around with the fastball right here.
One ball, one strike. Now Lucroy has thrown out 3 Twins here in the last 2 days. He's got a very good percentage. And with a 2-run lead, he would certainly make an attempt at an out at second if Santana should run.
Rodriguez slow to the plate.
Crowd goes quiet. The 1-1 in there. Called strike. 1-2 the count.
Boy, what a difference, huh? Get that call. Big difference. 1-2 and 2-1. Wow. It's been a tight zone in this 9th inning. He got the call.
He deserves a call with a pitch like that. That's a big time pitch in a big spot. Again, the Twins down to their last strike. K-Rod against the dangerous Dozier. The 1-2 and a called strike 3. Ball game over. Frankie Rodriguez seals the deal, and the Brewers win it 5-3.
He was looking changeup, wasn't he? That was right down the middle. Wow. He took it.
And that expression tells it all right there of Frankie Rodriguez. He makes a winner out of Will Smith, who's 4-0. Ryan Braun's 2-run homer gave the Brewers the lead. Adam Lynn's 2-run homer gave them the runs they needed to win this game. And a successful homestand finally for the Brewers. They win 4, lose 2, back-to-back series wins over the Mets and the Twins, 2 contending teams. It's time for Brewers Live, and a good news Brewers Live today. We send it out to Craig Cashon and Jerry Augustine. Craiger?
All right, PA, looking forward to this one for sure. Should be a happy clubhouse, good homestand, as you mentioned. We'll hear from Craig Counsell and the crew and get you set for that Phillies series, which starts tomorrow. Another big road trip on the way. Stay with us.